The sea is trying to kill you. It has been trying to kill you for 3 days. The waves come from the northwest, gray-green and indifferent, 12 feet from trough to crest. The longship rides them the way a living thing rides them, flexing along its keel, the hull breathing. 28 men on the oars. 28 men who have not slept properly since Norway disappeared behind you. You can't see land. You haven't seen land since the second day. The navigator reads the stars when the clouds break and reads the swells when they don't, and tells you Lindisfarne is 2 days north by northeast, and you trust him because he has made this crossing 4 times, and because the alternative to trusting him is a fear that doesn't help anyone. The ship is called Oarsman, the Serpent. 60 feet of oak and pine and iron rivets, built in a yard outside Bergen by men whose fathers built ships, and whose sons will build ships. She is 9 years old. She has raided the Frankish coast twice and the Scottish islands once, and she has brought everyone home every time. You intend to keep that record. Dawn breaks gray over the water. One of the younger men points north, a dark line on the horizon, land. You say nothing, you feel something move through the crew without anyone speaking. 28 men pulling harder on the oars without being told. That's the ship, that's the crew, that's what 20 years of this life builds. Lindisfarne is 1 day away, you've done this before. Level 1, the boy on the shore. You're 9 years old. You live in a farmstead on the Vestfold coast of Norway. The fjord is outside your door every morning, in winter it freezes at the edges. In summer it's the color of slate under clouds and the color of iron under sun, and you have never once looked at it without wanting to know what's on the other side. Your father is a farmer who raids. This is the correct order of those words. The farm comes first. The farm is the thing that feeds your family through winter. The raiding is what pays for the iron tools and the silver armorings and the timber for the new storehouse your father has been planning for 3 years. He leaves in the spring with 11 other men on a ship belonging to a chieftain named Halfdan. He comes back in the autumn. Some years he comes back with silver, some years he comes back with nothing but stories. 1 year he comes back with a scar across his left forearm that he got on the Frankish coast, and a bronze cross he took from a church that your mother puts in a box under the floor and never speaks of. He always comes back. You are 12 when he takes you to see Halfdan's ship being repaired in the yard. The shipwright lets you touch the strakes. The wood is smooth and curved, and you feel the shape of speed in it even standing still. You tell your father you want to go. He says, "You're not ready?" You spend the next 4 years becoming ready. Level 2, the Oarsman. You're 16. Halfdan takes you on your first raid. Your father negotiates it. You will pull an oar, you will do what you're told. You will not speak unless spoken to by a man older than you, and you will not boast about what you haven't yet done. These are the rules, you agree to all of them. The crossing to the Scottish islands takes 4 days. You are sick for the first 2. Not the kind of sick you can hide, the kind the whole ship sees. Nobody mocks you. Several of the older men tell you, without much warmth, that it passes. It does pass. On the 3rd day your stomach finds the rhythm of the ship, and you stop fighting the sea and start moving with it. The raid is a monastery on a small island, stone buildings, monks who don't fight. Silver cups, embroidered cloth, wooden boxes with brass fittings full of illuminated manuscripts that nobody on your ship can read. You carry things to the ship, you don't do anything else. Halfdan keeps the younger men back from the worst of it. You see enough. On the way home you sit at your oar and think about what you saw, not the silver, the monks' faces. The way they stood when the ship came around the headland, like they'd been waiting for something they hoped wouldn't come. You don't sleep well for a week. Then you do sleep well. This is the more frightening thing. Level 3, the Raider. You're 20. 3 voyages. You know the sea now, not the way a fisherman knows the coastal waters, the open sea. The way the swells change when land is near, the way the sky reads differently over deep water. The way the ship speaks through the oar when something is wrong with the current. You are good at this, not good at the fighting specifically, though you can fight. Good at the whole thing, the navigation, the timing, the reading of a beach before the ship grounds on it. Halfdan notices. He puts you at the bow and approaches. Your job is to read the shore and tell him what you see. Lindisfarne, 793. You've heard the name before. An island off the Northumbrian coast, a monastery, very old, very rich. The monks have been building its treasury for 200 years. The crossing is 3 days, the approach is at dawn. You stand at the bow and read the beach and tell Halfdan, shallow shelf, sand bottom, no rocks, ground her 20 feet from the waterline. He does exactly that. What follows is the raid that every skald in Norway will be singing about for the next 100 years. You are inside it, and it looks nothing like a song. It looks like work, carrying, loading, watching the tree line for men who don't come because the monks have no one to call. You sail home with the ship riding low. You have an armring now, silver. Halfdan gave it to you on the deck the morning after Lindisfarne. He said nothing when he gave it, he didn't need to. You wear it every day for the rest of your life. Level 4, the veteran raider. You're 26. Halfdan is dead, fell in a skirmish on the Frankish coast 2 seasons ago. His son Bjorn took the ship and the crew. Bjorn is 19 and brave and makes decisions the way young men make decisions, fast and certain and sometimes wrong. You are the oldest man on the ship now who was on it before Bjorn. This means something. It means you are the person Bjorn talks to at night when the crew can't hear. He asks you once, anchored off the Frisian coast in the dark, whether his father was afraid. You say, your father was always afraid. He was good at it because he didn't let it make his decisions for him. Bjorn is quiet for a while. Then he asks, are you afraid? You say, every time. He thinks about that. Then he goes back to his place at the stern. The next morning he makes a good decision about the approach to the town, and you say nothing about it, and he doesn't look at you afterward, and this is the correct way for that exchange to go. You have a wife now. Astrid. You met her at a thing, a regional assembly, 3 winters ago. Her father is a farmer with 4 daughters and a practical view of marriage. You have silver and a reputation, and you come home. This is enough. She runs the farm while you're gone. She runs it better than you would. You've stopped pretending otherwise. Level 5, the ship's captain. You're 32. Your own ship. Not given, earned. You spent 2 years trading the silver from 6 raids into timber and labor and iron fittings and the attention of a shipwright in Bergen named Thorvald who builds the best hulls on the Vestfold coast. The ship takes 8 months to build. You are there for most of it. You learn the ship while it's still being made. You name her Ormrin, the serpent. Recruiting a crew is its own skill. You want men who have made the crossing before. You want men who can fight but who don't want to fight, who understand that a raid where no one raises a weapon is a better raid than one where someone does. You want men who will pull their oar in the 3rd day of a bad crossing without complaining about it. You find 28 of them. The first season with your own ship you raid the Irish coast twice and the Frankish coast once, and you bring everyone home and you pay your crew fairly, and you don't take a larger share than your standing warrants. This last part matters more than people say. A captain who takes too much loses his crew to captains who take less. You always knew this. Some men have to learn it the hard way. Your son is 4. He stands on the dock when you leave and watches the ship until it clears the headland. Astrid tells you this. You weren't there to see it. You carry the information like ballast. Level 6, the Chieftain. You're 41. 3 ships, 60 men who answer to you before anyone else. You are not the largest chieftain on the Vestfold coast. You are not the most famous. You are the one who has lost the fewest men in 10 years of raiding, and who has paid his crews honestly, and who has never broken a sworn agreement. In a world held together by reputation, reputation is the only currency that doesn't melt down. The politics are more complicated than the raiding. Other chieftains, alliances. A king in the east named Harold who is consolidating power, and who has sent word that the independent chieftains of the Vestfold coast should swear to him, or make other arrangements. You don't swear to Harold yet, you watch which way the current is running. You've read currents your whole life. Your son is 15. He wants to go on his first raid. This conversation happens across a table, and you hear your own father's voice in your head saying the words you're about to say. You say, "You're not ready." He spends the next year becoming ready. You watch him do it. You know what it looks like because you looked like it once. The hunger, the calculation of every physical task as practice for something larger. The way he stands on the dock and watches the ships. He is ready faster than you were, you don't tell him that. Level 7, the Jarl. You're 49. Harald Fairhair has united Norway. He did it at the Battle of Hafrsfjord, which you did not attend because you read the current correctly 2 years before it happened and swore to him before the fighting started. Other chieftains who waited are dead or exiled. You are a Jarl now. Harald's man. You administer the Vestfold coast under his authority. You collect taxes. You keep the peace. You raise ships when he calls for them. The raiding is behind you, not entirely. You still go out once a season, more for the crew's sake than for silver. But the shape of your life has changed. You spend more time in the hall than on the water. You settle disputes. You hear complaints. You render judgments under Norse law that men will live with for years. You are good at this. This surprises you. Your son leads his own crew now. He has your directness and his mother's precision and a boldness that is entirely his own. He has lost no one in 3 seasons. You hear this from other men, not from him. He doesn't report to you. He doesn't need to. Astrid died 2 winters ago. Fever. 3 days between the first sign and the end. You were home. This is the one mercy. You buried her on the hill above the farm. You put her best brooch with her, the one with the garnet inlay she bought with her own silver at a market in Hedeby 20 years ago. You could have kept it. You didn't want to. You go to the hill sometimes. You talk to her about what's happening. The politics, the children, what Harold is doing in the East. She would have had opinions about all of it. She always had opinions about all of it. Level 8, the Old Wolf. You're 61. The year is, in the Christian reckoning, 834. The world you were born into is changing faster than any world should change. Harold's Norway is organized in ways that didn't exist when you were young, laws written down, taxes collected systematically. The old independence of the coastal chieftains is over, and what replaced it is more stable and less alive. Christianity is at the edges. Not here yet, not fully, but you've seen it on the Frankish coast for 30 years and you've watched it move. The monks whose monasteries you raided were just the shore of something much larger and much more patient than a raiding party. Your grandson is 8 years old. He reminds you of yourself at that age in ways that make you quiet when you look at him. The same pull toward the water, the same habit of standing at the edge of the fjord and looking out. One evening he asks you about the raids. He's heard the stories from the skalds, the glorious versions, the versions with sea fire and battle joy and enemies who run like frightened cattle. You tell him a different version. You tell him about a monk on a Scottish island who stood in a doorway and didn't run. You've thought about that monk for 40 years. You never learned his name. He stood in the doorway of his scriptorium with his hands at his sides and looked at you coming, and didn't move. You took the silver boxes from the shelf behind him. He watched you do it. You have wondered your whole life what he was thinking. Your grandson asks, why didn't he run? You say, because it was his place. Because the things in that room were his to protect even when he couldn't protect them. Because some men stand in the doorway even when standing in the doorway changes nothing. Your grandson thinks about this. Then he asks, were you afraid of him? You look at the fjord, the light is failing. The water is the color it's always been, the color you've looked at your whole life, the color that means everything to you that home can mean. You say yes. He looks surprised. You say, brave men are the ones worth being afraid of, brave men are the ones worth remembering. I've forgotten the faces of men who fought me. I never forgot the ones who stood still. He goes quiet, the fjord goes dark. Later he goes inside, you stay on the dock. You're 61 years old, you've crossed the North Sea 11 times. You've stood on beaches in Ireland and Scotland and Francia and felt the ground of other men's countries under your feet. You've built 3 ships, raised 2 children, buried a wife, sworn to a king, and administered a coast that your father knew only as the edge of the world. The age that made you is ending. The man who replaced it is more organized and less free and probably better for most people and not what you would have chosen if anyone had asked you. No one asked you? Somewhere on a Scottish island there is a stone building with empty shelves. The monks came back. They always came back. They rebuilt what was taken. They wrote it all down in their books. What happened, what was lost, what the men from the north were like when they came out of the sea. They called it the fury of the Northmen. You were never furious. You were hungry and cold and trying to get home. That's the difference between a story and a life. The story is what survives. The life is what it actually was. You were the life. And the sea is still out there, the same sea, going nowhere, waiting for the next boy to stand on the dock and look at the horizon and want to know what's on the other side. There is always a next boy, there always will be. That was the whole point.